Happy New Year, Dub Nation. The Warriors have struggled just a little bit in 2023, but it's a new year, which means I need you guys to go ahead and like this video if you want the Golden State Warriors to be 2024 NBA champions. It's time to talk about some of those Warrior struggles on today's show. I am your host of Warriors Today by Chat Sports, Allie Barefoot, and I think it's finally time to address some things. The Warriors may be on the struggle bus, and I say this just because the Warriors finally had a meeting talking about their consistency on the court. Supposedly, reports show they're fine off the court, so what's happening when the game is playing? But also, they're tired of losing. They've had some disappointing losses this season, including a 3-game losing streak right now. When they should have beat the Dallas Mavericks on December 30th, they ended up losing, and now they're under 500 after they played 30-plus games. They're sitting at 11th in the NBA Western Conference, and they're 15-17. This is not the Dubs that we know and love that we've seen the past couple of years, and that's okay. You need some time to figure out what's working and what's not working, but it's gotten to a point where how often do you have to experiment before you have found the right answers? Steve Kerr changed the lineup again against the Dallas Mavericks. He did sit Kevon Looney. He's also been sitting Andrew Wiggins, so he switched it up. He put a different rookie in this lineup, Trace Jackson-Davis. He took out Podziemski. He kept Jonathan Kuminga in there, and look at Klay Thompson. All the starters, that's fine. Do what you have to do to find your consistency, but Klay Thompson, once again, fell back into his rut. We're going to talk about Klay Thompson a little bit later in this video, but look, I understand that you need to switch it up based on how the Warriors are playing, and Steve Kerr said that he made these lineup adjustments because of defensive improvements, but when is enough enough? When is Steve Kerr going to find his starting 5 unit, his consistent unit, start to find more consistency with the rotation, and help the Dubs get into a rhythm? Well, Steph Curry did address these inconsistent movements by Steve Kerr after the Dallas Mavericks loss. And he said, look, we've experimented a lot, some for forced reasons, a.k.a. probably Draymond Green suspension. Some of us searching for an identity of what are our strengths and playing into that, but we haven't found that yet. He continues to say it's frustrating for sure. We're 32 games in, and any team that's a seriously competitive contender, like the Warriors have been the past couple of years, a good team can usually answer that question. So we have to get to that point for sure before it's too late. Well, it's 32 games in, Steph Curry and Steve Kerr, and all experiments have to have conclusions. At what point in the season? Is it after All-Star break? Is it after the trade deadline? When is Steve Kerr going to finally find his rhythm and consistency to give the Warriors a chance? Now, I'm not blaming all this on Steve Kerr. I get it. You have to be able to play up to a standard, especially in the Western Conference. That's so tough. But ultimately, Steve Kerr makes these decisions night in and night out. And after a 15-17 record, I got to ask you guys, do the Warriors have a Steve Kerr coaching problem this year? I want you guys to type Y for yes, type N for no, because you can only blame so much on the Warriors. You got to look at the coaching part of it just a little bit. Type Y for yes, type N for no, while I bring up what Steve Kerr had to say about this issue, I guess you want to call it. Steve Kerr said, look, we haven't found that grit or that energy the team needs where you pull together and just play for the group. That's a problem. Until this team really connects in a way that's solely dedicated to winning every game, we're going to be stuck in this place. Well, I agree with that to an extent. I definitely don't think this Warriors is as the same energy level as the previous Warriors have been, especially NBA contenders. You've got a lot of external factors coming in here like injuries, Draymond suspension, blah, 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 yada, yada, yada. But you get down to a point of, is it really the Warriors' grit, or is it just that they need help? Well, I broke down 3 things that could possibly help the Warriors stop losing ball games, finish games, and play like the Golden State Warriors. Number one thing that I point out is that they need to find identity with this rotation. It is messing with players' heads. They've said that before. The fact that you have had over 10 different starting lineups this season is going to be tough for the Warriors to actually get into any rhythm. That's just point A. However, Steve Kerr did say, look, all I said is that we're not completing through the tough parts of the game. That's intangible. There's a feeling, there's a vibe when you fight where everyone's energy is right. We don't have that right now. You know what? I'll be honest, Steve Kerr, I haven't even seen that energy since Draymond Green and Klay Thompson got ejected for the Rudy Gobert situation. That was one of the first times I saw the Warriors rally for the team's sake. That's where we first saw Brandon Podziemski. But it's getting to a point now where Jonathan Kuminga has been playing his ass off and proving that Steve Curry should play night after night. And he voiced, look, the inconsistency is messing with my head. And now you have 9-time NBA All-Star Steph Curry saying there's an issue and we've got to find that and we've got to do something about it. 32 games in, and you still haven't found what you need. I'm going to break down the other two things that could possibly help the Warriors as they're 15-17 right now. But first, I want to take a break so that you guys can win some money. How do you do that? Well, by playing Prize Picks, the #1 daily fantasy sports app in America right now, and an app I play literally every single game day. If you guys want to play, all you have to do is pick between 2 to 6 players and just pick more or less on their projected stats, and you can win up to 25 times your money on any entry. I love picking these 4 NBA games. Of course, they have Taco Tuesday deals, which means I got a nice little discount on Ja Morant points. I'm going to take more than 22.5. He's been popping off for the Memphis Grizzlies since he came back from his suspension. And not to mention, Joel Embiid is in the MVP race again this year, so might as well take him having more than 21.5 field goal attempted. And then I have Jonathan Kuminga, who I have personally loved watching for the Warriors all season long. He's got 5 rebounds tonight. Of course, I took the more on that. These are my picks, but I want to see yours. All you have to do is go to prizepicks.com/CLNS. Make sure you use promo code CLNS so that they know you're a fan of Chat Sports, you're repping them, and you're going to get a first-time deposit match up to $100 by using promo code CLNS. The second thing that I think is pretty obvious, and I think a lot of Warriors Today fans are going to agree with me on this, Steph Curry needs to have a reliable shooter on the floor with him. It's gotten to that point where, look, the next closest scorer to Steph Curry is Klay Thompson, and he is in and out, night after night. He had a period of time there where he was pretty consistent, and we saw flashes of the former Splash Brother, but after 3 points in Dallas Mavericks, clearly he's not all there. So that means a trade. It has to mean a trade at this point. If you want to keep relying on Klay Thompson, you absolutely can. If you want to put Chris Paul in the starting lineup, go on ahead and make it different. But you need consistency, and I think that starts with a consistent shooter. When I'm looking at a consistent shooter in this trade targets, well, I see DeJounte Murray of the Atlanta Hawks. They have been talking consistently about trading DeJounte Murray. I think it would be worth some kind of trade. Chris Paul, Klay Thompson, somebody to get DeJounte. And if not, I'm a huge fan of Mikal Bridges, not just because he eats Chipotle every single day, and I want to as well, but the fact that he is leading the Brooklyn Nets in scoring right now, and he could be a great asset to this Warriors offense. And third, Zach LaVine. No, when you see Zach LaVine's name, you're not like, this is a Steph Curry shooter, but he can be consistent night in and night out. And obviously, the Chicago Bulls want to rebuild right now. So I think these are 3 targets the Warriors should at least look into if nobody else steps up and helps Steph Curry. 32 games in, and no one else is in 20-point scoring other than Steph Curry. It's a problem. It really is. And it's getting to a point where Klay Thompson's posting on his Instagram story, this is the type of energy I'm on all season. It's just me against the world, baby. Putting this on his Instagram story, and that looks like younger Klay to me. Does this mean he is finally getting back into his rhythm? Is he actually feeling more like old Klay Thompson? I mean, you can only ask so much of him. I know he's coming back from 2 major injuries in his career, but ultimately, I'm waiting on Klay Thompson to do what he's going to say he does. We saw a little bit of it, but it's the ebb and flow that makes me a little bit scared. So ultimately, I got to ask you guys a serious question. Do you think Klay Thompson is washed? I think it's gotten to that point in the season where I'm allowed to ask this question. I saw highlights of what he could be this season, but I've also seen more highlights of what he has become. So go ahead and type it down in the comments below while I tell you what I think the third thing needs to happen for the Golden State Warriors this season before February 8th, which is the NBA trade deadline. The Dubs need to make a trade. But whether or not it needs to be a change in players or a change in coaching? I understand you can't trade that away, but you get what I'm saying. Overall, my main feeling is that the Golden State Warriors are one piece away. That's what it feels like. Now that you're not playing with Draymond Green, you don't know how long you're going to be playing without Draymond Green, whether it's a big, whether it's a shooter, whether it's a defensive piece. It feels like the Dubs are one piece away from getting back to a championship level contender. They're one game away from the play-in right now. They're 15-17. They're 11th in the Western Conference. Somebody can help them get over that hump. But because we have no answer, I want to ask you guys who you would like to see traded or parted ways with, if you will. Type AW for Andrew Wiggins. The Warriors have opened up about being open to trading Wiggy. Draymond Green, type DG. We don't know when Draymond Green's coming back. How much help is he for the Warriors? Type KT for Klay Thompson if you think he's washed, if you're ready to see the Splash Brothers break up. Type SK if you think this is a Steve Kerr problem and you want the Warriors to fire Steve Kerr and start over with a new coach. Go on ahead and put it down in the comments below, and I think the Warriors could possibly have an opportunity to break their 3-game losing streak. They've got the Orlando Magic tonight, and of course, the spread is Golden State Warriors -3. The total over-under is 229.5, and I think this could be a turning point for the Golden State Warriors, but I need your help. I need you guys to like this video if you want the Golden State Warriors to beat the Orlando Magic tonight, to break this losing streak, and to get back on the right foot, start 2024 off with a win. Like this video to help out the Warriors.